Fahne, es nervt nur noch. Nordirland-Fans sind wir sehr sympathisch, weil wir so viele Palästinenser haben auf unseren Straßen, die immer wieder mal Randale machen, Polizei, Pöbel angreifen und ständig diese Fahne, es nervt nur noch. Nordirland-Fans sind wir sehr sympathisch, weil wir so viele Palästinenser haben auf unseren Straßen, die immer wieder mal Randale machen, Polizei, Pöbel angreifen und ständig diese Fahne, es nervt nur noch. Nordirland-Fans sind wir sehr sympathisch, weil wir so viele Palästinenser haben auf unseren Straßen, die immer wieder mal Randale machen, Polizei, Pöbel angreifen und ständig diese Fahne, es nervt nur noch. Nordirland-Fans sind wir sehr sympathisch, weil wir so viele Palästinenser haben auf unseren Straßen, die immer wieder mal Randale.
Hello, Shavua Tov, good evening, and all that stuff. This is the final Shofar live stream of this year of 5785. I'll turn that up a little bit. This is the last Shofar live stream of 5785, and welcoming you all to it. First off, obviously, wishing my fellow Jews a sweet, happy, and healthy new year as Rosh Hashanah is approaching Tuesday and Wednesday of this week. Now, usually this time of year, people of the Jewish persuasion will give Yom Kippur apologies. And essentially that is, let me adjust this a little bit. When you have Yom Kippur, that's a day of atonement for your sins against God, right? Excuse me. Slicha, as we would say in Hebrew. And like as I did this evening, leading up to Rosh Hashanah, we do slichot prayers. Slichot is essentially saying, pardon, forgive me. Pardon me, forgive me. That's why if you bump into somebody at the kosher store, you say, slicha, excuse me, pardon me, I'm sorry. So that's essentially what we're doing this time of year. And why is that? Because they say on Rosh Hashanah, it is written, meaning your name in the book of life, or the plan for the year to come. And then on Yom Kippur, it is sealed. So Jews, I would recommend you be on your best halachic behavior during this holiday season. Of course, we want to do as many mitzvahs as possible at any time, but especially at this time of year, because this is, as they say, the king is in the field. It's a little bit maybe more closely scrutinized at the time of year when you are supposed to be being repentant, right? The other thing is we have these apologies to your fellow people at the same time. When we're doing slichot, apologies to God, we should also be doing slichot to our fellow human beings, especially our fellow Jews, but our fellow people in general. They don't have to be Jews. Because the Day of Atonement only atones for your sins against God. Like if you did something unkosher, you ate some bacon, or you treated something mundane when it was supposed to be holy, like you didn't say a bracha, or you forgot to praise God, or basically any time that you may have went off the derech a little bit, maybe did something sinful against Jewish law, that's what you're atoning for on Yom Kippur. However, that does not atone for your sins against mankind and your fellow human beings. So what that means is you have to make it right with the person who you wronged. You can't just say, oh, well, I screwed over Sally in our business transaction. I never gave her her money. Then I ghosted her on the phone. But let me just go pray to God and I'll be forgiven for it. No, you have to make it up to Sally. You have to make it right with Sally. You have to make Sally whole again. That's why they call it atonement, at one-ment. You're making everything whole and unified with the Creator. Okay, so part of atonement at one-ment is atoning with your fellow human being. Now, this is unique to Judaism. There are other religious pursuits in which you just pray to God or an intercessor, and whatever you've done is forgiven. But that's not how it works in Judaism. You must make it up to the individual who you harmed. You can't just pray and say, okay, it's forgiven now. You can't. You have to tell the person, look, I'm sorry, and how can I make this up to you? And if they say, I accept your apology and you don't have to make it up to me, then you're good. But if they say, well, I'll accept your apology if you return my money, then you have to return their money or appease them in some way equal to that. Okay? You're supposed to fix the way that you harmed, meaning if you, example, shorted them on money, then you make sure you give them that money. Okay, you do in kind. Uh, same as, I mean, as is biblical law, right? You know, like they say, eye for an eye, right? So, with all of that in mind, this is my time to begin the show, in a sense, even though I've been talking for a minute now with this long introduction. But this is a chance for me to apologize. I'm apologizing to you, the viewers. Oh, some crazy activities going on outside. But this is my opportunity to apologize to you, the viewers of the Shofar, for any time that I have let you down or insulted you, made you feel bad about yourself, because sometimes I can be kind of harsh, I know, and admonishing the activities of the community. Sometimes people's feelings can get a little bent out of shape. And I might not even realize that I offended some Jew or something. So I'm sorry if I hurt your feelings. However, to anyone who is the enemy of the Jewish people, I am not sorry. I will continue to fight you, and you don't deserve my sympathy. But if you are one of the Jewish people or the friend of the Jewish people, and I have done anything to hurt you, harm you, I do apologize. And if you feel that there's something that I need to make up to you, contact me. You know how to do it. Right here, it says it right underneath there. So if you want to contact me and say, hey, you did me wrong or something, I am sorry, and I'll try to figure out how to make it up to you. So that having said, Shavua Tov again, and let's get right into the discussion of the week. So, as we know, last week, as we discussed on the show, was the brutal assassination of fairly milquetoast friendly conservative commentator Charlie Kirk. So obviously, in the aftermath of that, we've had all the leftists, woo, 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 he deserved it, yada, yada, yada. We know how terrible they are, and they continually show it. We know this, right? But what we maybe were not expecting was the turnabout on the right, on the so-called right, and we're going to talk about that. Now, I talked a little bit last week about the Groypers and how much they have in common with Antifa and why we should not consider them part of the right. We should reject them as labeling themselves right-wing, or as left-wing people labeling them right-wing to try and separate themselves from them. They are not right-wing people. If you support or praise Hitler at any time, that's National Socialism that you're supporting, and that is not right-wing. That is the authoritarian center-left. Simple as. I don't make the rules about what politics go where. It's not that I didn't want so-and-so to be in this position or whatever. It just happens to be that socialism is not considered right-wing under almost every definition. Okay, so keeping that in mind, now the Groypers and the so-called woke right, which I will call the alt left, um, the alt left has really been having a meltdown since the Kirk assassination, trying to decide whether it was the Jews or whoever did it, right? Okay, so obviously, some people who were leaning towards the Palestine side, like Dave Smith, are saying, okay, I don't support Israel, but I need a little bit more evidence for this conspiracy theory that Israel supposedly would have killed Charlie Kirk. Another person echoing this sentiment, but on the more extreme angle, is Nick Fuentes. When you say Amalek's name, you must curse them. Spit. Patui. So this little Mexican guy has taken on a tone that unfortunately a lot of Jews are paying attention to, and I think they're paying attention to it in the wrong way. They're giving it the wrong type of attention. So I'm going to play a clip from this bastard, and unfortunately, it doesn't have full captions. I wish it could be silent so I didn't have to hear this little bastard's voice.
Fucking rock. And Candace Owens, the living, walking stereotype. Look at how she talked 10, 15 years ago.
Sure.
She was suing people for racism. If the Jews...
Hold on. It's not showing the... I'll get that in order. This guy. See, he even causes malfunction in the studios, his nasty energy. But we're going to do this for the scholarly purpose of knowing what this fool said.
And it's funny about her. The Jews wrote the script for her, and they made her a star. Now that she don't have the Jews writing the script for her, now she sounds exactly like her sisters. Now she sounds like a regular sister fighting with the TSA. You can keep them. We're good. The high IQ anti-Semites are seceding from the Russia shills, the low IQ anti-Semites, the dummies, the people that say it's not the Jews, it's Israel, it's not Israel, it's Netanyahu. You can keep them. We're good.
So a lot of people, obviously this was posted by a Jewish profile. Fuentes unleashes on Max Blumenthal, Jackson Hinkle, and Candace Owens. And I'll back up a little bit because it didn't play the part about Max Blumenthal, but it says, is this real life? The implication being that some of these Jewish people are thinking that maybe this guy is waking up, but he's not. And I'll explain that in a minute. But
the shamelessness. Her and Max Blumenthal, too. And Max Blumenthal, look at that guy's face and tell me that's an honest broker.
His Jewish face.
Max Blumenthal is a left-wing Jew, and he is like this with Russia. Look at that guy's ghoulish, pale face, this nebbish, and tell me that's an honest broker. These two, you can keep them. Jackson Hinkle, he can't even tell you what communism is. He's this big. Max Blumenthal's a left-wing Jew Russia shill, and Candace Owens is as dumb as they come. Trust me, she makes a stereotype seem true. If Ben...
Okay, so you get the idea. That's enough of his annoying voice. But, so what he's doing is attacking these other anti-Semites, and some Jewish people are stupidly perceiving it as, well, even Nick Fuentes realizes that it's not Israel behind everything, yada, 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 all this nonsense, okay? Let's break down what's really going on in that clip that we just watched, okay? First off, he is not attacking people for being against the Jews, okay? He is attacking people for saying that Israel did something without any proof. Okay, that sounds good at first, but it's not good. It's actually terrible, and let me explain why. This individual is trying to position himself as the top anti-Semite. Okay, he wants to wipe out the other people, just the people who are just anti-Zionist. As you see, he threw in a barb at Max Blumenthal's Jewy appearance, stereotypically Jewish appearance. Okay. He's trying to position himself as the intellectual anti-Semite, as if there is such a thing. What he's doing with throwing Candace Owens, Jackson Hinkle, and Max Blumenthal under the bus, what he's doing is he is making it about the Jews, not about Israel. He wants to be clear that he's not just an anti-Zionist. He's not focused on the government of Israel, and he doesn't want to give them too much credit either. Okay? He is trying to position himself as the high IQ alternative to the low IQ rabble that you see in the street being anti-Zionist. He wants you to hate the Jews, not just the state of Israel. That's why he was not going to jump to Israel did it, or even the Jews did it, because he's trying to position himself as the smart, reliable, solid option against the Jews. Okay? For him to pause and actually think about it and say, I'm not going to go and jump and say that the Jews in Israel did this, that's a strategic move. That's not just him saying, oh, well, I didn't think of it. I mean, there's not enough evidence. No, that's not what's happening. This is a strategic move on his part to shift the focus away from the state of Israel and onto the Jews in general, and to try and act like he has only solid arguments against the Jews. He's trying to make himself look like a serious contender in the intellectual realm. If you say that the Jews did something that he can't prove, he doesn't want to use that because he wants solid evidence that you can use against us. Okay? He doesn't want to, just out of journalistic integrity, trying not to spread fake news. No, he's building himself a record. He's trying to not be alarmist. He's trying to not say things that he can't prove. He wants to take examples of real Jewish people and also go with his trad Catholic opinion things that you cannot argue with. He wants to eliminate the debate by putting his foot in the door and saying, hey, I'm not saying that Israel did everything. I'm not making these false, crazy claims. So you should listen to me. That's what he's doing. He's presenting himself as a reasonable anti-Semite, and that is far more dangerous than any of these idiots with red and white keffiyehs or black and white keffiyehs out in the street yelling for Palestine, for social justice. They look like idiots. It's easy to see that they're idiots. They're wearing gay flags and waving the flag of a place that would not allow gay culture, okay? However, Nick Fuentes, he's making it all make sense. He's not waving a gay flag, even though he obviously engages in a lot of homosexual activity, but that's a separate thing. He's not waving a gay culture flag. He's not a social justice warrior. He's not even caring really about Palestine at all. He is making this about the Jews and the Jews in America and worldwide. He doesn't give a fuck about Israel and Palestine. In the end, people who really just hate Jews, they don't want them anywhere. And some of them would rather us all go to Israel and be away from whatever culture that they're living in. They say, well, yeah, I support Israel because I want the Jews to go away. That's the way that many of them are. This is not a new concept, all right? Anders Breivik held that position. He went, everybody wants to, it's obviously there's an element of comedy to it, but he was a white supremacist who went and shot up a Palestinian youth camp, not for the cause of fighting Islamism or fighting Palestine. No, he wanted to escalate and piss off the Palestinians so the Palestinians would riot in his country and cause mass aliyah. He wanted the Jews out of Scandinavia. So he said, if I start doing basically white supremacist terrorism against Palestinians here, they'll react and scare the Jews away. Because obviously there was more pro-Palestine people than there were outright white supremacist neo-Nazis. They're kind of rare nowadays. They still exist, but they're kind of rare. If you read Anders Breivik's book, 2083, which is, I believe it's available in the JDL Telegram archives. If it's not, I'll put it in there. I believe it is, though. All of this is laid out. His plan and his idea that how Europe was going to be Jew-free by 2083. And it was going to be using this Palestine stuff to accelerate. Now, I'm not saying that Nick Fuentes is going to go and shoot a bunch of people, although some of his followers might. They did have the one guy, another Hispanic guy, that was arrested from their group for threatening to do basically a terror attack on a TPUSA thing, which is, Charlie Kirk's group. And so there was a lot of speculation initially that it was Groypers that had assassinated Charlie Kirk. And I was under maybe that impression at first as well, until I saw multiple photos of the shooter in socialist t-shirts, left socialist, commie t-shirts. So I knew that he was not a Groyper, even though Groypers rightfully should advertise their socialist leanings. They try to pretend like they're on the right. We need to reject them, like I was talking about last week, reject them out of the right and recognize the danger of this messaging, the danger of this idea that, well, it's not Israel every time. The problem is your local Jew. That is an escalation that we have not really been looking at previously. The pro-Palestine movement always tries to shift and say, well, it's not anti-Jews, it's Zionist. Now, Ahed Tamimi came out and said, we're not fighting Zionism, we're fighting the Jews recently. But up until then, they were pretty much keeping it on the low key that they hated the Jews in general, okay? But now they've escalated and they're comfortable saying that more openly in the more extreme side of it. And the same goes with the more extreme side of the alt-left, aka woke right. This guy Fuentes, he's trying to, maybe he's going to be trying to run for office, I don't know, but he is trying to present himself as a logical anti-Semite, as a high IQ anti-Semite, and he's trying to dust off all of the obvious bad hangers-on to that ideology. He's trying to get rid of anybody who's saying that. I mean, listen to the end of this clip. Where does he?
And scoop her up, you'd see her walking stereotype. Look at how she talked 10, 15 years ago. She was suing people for racism. The Jews, and it's funny about her. The Jews wrote the script for her and they made her a star. Now that she don't have the Jews writing the script for her, now she sounds exactly like her sisters. Now she sounds like a regular sister fighting with the TSA. You can keep them. We're good. The high IQ anti-Semites are seceding from the Russia shills, the low IQ anti-Semites, the dummies. See, the people that say it's not the Jews, it's Israel, it's not Israel, it's Netanyahu. You can keep them. The Russia shills, the low IQ anti-Semites, the dummies. The people that say it's not the Jews, it's Israel, it's not Israel, is a left-wing Jew.
Who can they keep? Who can they keep? Who does he want to get rid of? The people who say it's not the Jews, it's Israel. He wants the people that say it's the Jews. But tons of Jewish accounts are reposting this bullshit, acting like he's having some sort of fucking awakening. No. He's attempting an ascension that we need to fucking quash quickly. You're looking at little Hitler, all right, in his early pre-beer hall stages, and this needs to be crushed in the streets. Okay, this is not acceptable. There's no such thing as high IQ anti-Semites. Okay, your IQ level doesn't matter. Okay, an anti-Semite, a Jew hater, whatever you want to call them, they have a mental disease. They believe that the Jew is evil and causes problems. That's a mental disease, okay? The people who have brought the world the message of the Bible being perceived as evil by someone is probably a mental disease, right? You have an illness that would make you think that the people who have carried on the traditions of God are somehow the evil people in the world. Oh, wow, there was this bad Jew that did this one thing. Wow, so what? I could name 100 Irish guys that did the same thing. I could name 500, Black, Italian, Mexican, any other group. Jews are human beings. Of course, all of them are not perfect, but the concept that the Jew as a concept itself is evil is clearly a fucking mental illness, all right? So IQ is notwithstanding when we're talking about mental illness. That's fine. Wow, maybe you could do a math problem that figures out how to build the tallest building or do some quantum physics. But you know what? If you're babbling about how Jews and you're crazy, and what are you going to be doing to apply any of that supposed high IQ? Nothing. Okay? Every so-called intellectual anti-Semite ends up doing what? Focusing their energies on hating us rather than doing anything important. There's a guy, oh god damn, I cannot remember his name right now, but he's a Jew hater, and he goes around on social media trying to tell everybody that the Jews are doing this evil stuff and all of the typical conspiracy theories. But his basis is that he was some sort of math whiz. Like he won some sort of contest and figured out something. So according to him and his warped mind, because he got some recognition for doing really hard math problems before, you should listen to him about why the Jews are evil. So is this guy being a mathematician? Is he out helping the world with math? No, he's on social media every day posting pictures of himself lifting weights, talking about how he's going to have to fight the Jews. Do you see what I'm saying? That your IQ doesn't matter? Wow, Nick Fuentes, are you really the smartest guy in the world? Do you have the highest IQ? Because no one can tell, because you're spending your time talking about the Jews or talking about why certain other people who don't like the Jews are not as good as you at disliking the Jews. What is this? That is mental illness. Okay? This guy, look at Nick Fuentes. I mean, he has an annoying voice, but otherwise he looks fairly white. He could pass for white. He's a Catholic. He could have a normal life, right? He could be doing something normal. He could be getting a girlfriend even, maybe. But instead, he's so high IQ that he's spending his time talking shit about the Jews. That's what it leads to. It doesn't matter if you had some moment where you were really intelligent and you wrote a beautiful poem, or you did a great painting, like Hitler did paintings. So what? Do we know him for his famous paintings? No, because he didn't dedicate himself to painting. He dedicated himself to hating the Jew. All right? And that's what a Jew hater does, because it's a mental fucking illness. It's a mental illness. It's not normal to think that an entire group of people are the source of evil in the world. It's not normal. It's a mental schism. You have a problem. You might have a genetic issue. You might have something pressing on your brain, just like people who have fetishes and they obsess over them. This is that type of thing. That's what Jew haters are. They have problems, mental problems. And people are acting like this guy is somehow stepping away from mental illness or something. And, oh, wow, what's it? And there's some other clip of him, talking about how some of his, followers, his little cult or whatever, were saying that, he didn't blame the Jews right away for Charlie Kirk's death. So he is AIPAC shill, right? So he's jumping ahead of that. He's jumping ahead of that. Probably, how many people actually accused him of that? Probably very few. But he's jumping ahead of that, saying that, oh, these people accuse me of that, so he can say this before they say anything about him publicly. All right? This guy is trying to make himself the top anti-Semite in the West. Okay? He is not waking up and realizing that saying it's about the Jews every time is crazy. No, he knows what he is doing, and I know what he's doing, and you should know what he's doing. He is attempting to normalize, intellectualize, and glamorize anti-Semitism in a way that he wants to act like, look, I only have real truth against the Jews. These other people that are coming with unprovable claims, they're probably sent by the Jews to make the anti-Jew people look bad. That's the way he's going to spin it every time. Okay? He's either going to pose it as they're crazy or they're sent by the Jews themselves. This is dangerous messaging. Fuck high IQ anti-Semites. Okay? Doing some little intellectual tricks doesn't matter to us, doesn't matter to me, doesn't matter to society. You are obsessed with being a hater, and then you're trying to use this other intellectual thing as an excuse, as a reasoning for why people should listen to you about hating the Jews. That's the only reason. That's the only thing that these high IQ anti-Semites will ever do with their high IQ, is try and use it as some sort of leverage, as some sort of credibility. I am making big words, so therefore you too should hate the Jews. Don't listen to the guy with the hate the Jew. Listen to this wonderfully poetic reasoning by why we should hate the Jew. No, stop giving these people any fucking platforms. Stop acting like they're gonna wake up and think about it or some shit. No, okay? If they're gonna wake up and think about it, that's in God's hands. All right? That's not gonna be like, oh, they just saw something, or you're gonna convince them, or well, I was been in his comments for a while, maybe he finally listened. No, he didn't listen. None of that happened. Get real. This guy's a little Hitler. He wants the Jews removed from America. This is not the first time that this guy has tried to make himself appear smart. Okay? But now, since there was a recent shakeup in the right, he's using Charlie Kirk's death as an opportunity to position himself as the next guy. He wants to be, well, I'm peaceful and reasonable like Charlie Kirk, blah, blah, blah. That's what he wants to present himself as, although he's not peaceful and reasonable like Charlie Kirk. He wants to present himself as that. And the more people believe it, the worse we are. This is really endangering people's lives, frankly. Because when they feel emboldened by Hitler fans, we know where that goes, okay? We know where that goes. And the idea that we even have a woke right is insane. How can you be woke and also be right wing? Woke, what is woke? I mean, obviously, woke used to be street terminology, meaning that you are paying attention to what's going on around you and like, hey man, stay woke. People might be trying to rob you, or the police might be looking at you, or it's being aware of your surroundings. However, in modern parlance, white people have commandeered the term woke and turned it into meaning being supportive of all these social justice causes, being supportive of all of these beliefs that the old way is bad and there's some new way to be, okay? How can that be right wing? Answer me. How can woke be right wing? Right wing, what's right wing? It means obviously small government and a tendency towards the traditional. Now, obviously, there are going to be varying levels of that, of traditionalism within the right, but it is a tendency to lean towards the traditional as opposed to the progressive, all right? Woke is 100% progressive. National Socialism was progressive. That's what it presented itself as back in the day. So, and as a matter of fact, Hitler coined the term social justice. But when we go and we act like these people are woke and they're on the right wing, we're doing ourselves a disservice with these misnomers. Call a spade a spade. They're the alt left. If you are a national socialist in 2025, you're alt left. You hold economic left wing views, big government views, but just an alternative cultural viewpoint to what is culturally normative in association with those views, which is generally feminism, anti-racism, gay rights, all that stuff. Okay? Now, when you're opposed to feminism, anti-racism, gay rights, all that stuff, but you're still a socialist, there you go. You're a socialist. You're a national socialist. You're not right wing. You are not right wing. You are not right wing. Can we make a little? You're not right. You're not right. But no, really, they're not right wing. If they support Hitler, they're national socialism, and there's no right wing form of socialism in the history of the world, and there cannot be. I know we like to change around the definitions nowadays, right? Like we go, oh, well, cultural relativism, that is really what we're talking about with race. No. A racist is a person who views other races as lower. Simple as. A racist is not a person who believes that his culture is more refined, or that he, stop changing all the definitions of everything, okay? There's no woke right. There's no right-wing Nazis. Just stop. Just stop, please. Thank you. No, but seriously, the insanity of normalizing the term woke right is, I don't even know how this, who decided that was the word, right? First of all, but they just keep deciding everything for us. Like this is with woke right. Everybody's saying that. Who first said that? Where did this come from? Who said woke right first? I want to find who originated this, because it's actually very freaking bizarre. Okay, it is. It's crazy. Because how do you accept these people as being right wing? How do you do that? How? How do you accept people who believe that there's Palestinians? How do you accept people who are, love Hitler? I mean, it blows my mind that people on the right are calling this the woke right. The left wing people are not calling it the woke right. The right wing people are, and that's the fucked up part. I can understand, yeah, well, left wing people say a bunch of dumb stuff all the time, and most of everything they say is wrong. But why are people on our side? On our side, why? Why are they saying this? It's insane. It doesn't make any sense to me. And the fact that anybody keeps considering it, I mean, you just have to put a American flag and everybody thinks you're right wing, apparently. I mean, are we forgetting that the Democrats use the American flag too? Like Jackson Hinkle, MAGA communism. What is that? It's communism trying to appeal to the MAGA crowd. It's not a real thing. There's no different version of communism where it's going to make America great again. You're crazy. That guy's a left-wing guy. He's not a right-wing guy. And I've heard people refer to Jackson Hinkle as woke right. Like, he's literally a self-identified communist. How is he right? Because he put the word MAGA on his Twitter fucking profile and waved an American flag? I mean, words have to have meaning nowadays, guys. We can't just be like, well, left, right, whatever. How are you gonna, well, I need to know how to get to the store from your house. Go left, but I really mean right, but really I mean left. No, you're supposed to say it's either left or it's right, okay? You don't go to an intersection and spin around, okay? And that's basically what these people are saying, that, let's go to the intersection and spin around with the woke right. It's not a thing. It's not a fucking thing, guys. It's not and I'm not gonna let you make it be a thing. It'll be a thing in your own weird little circles, but not in this realm, bro. It's fucking insane to me that we ever accepted these Roipers as right wing and stuff, because they drape themselves in Catholicism and all these things that people consider traditional. But oh, how quickly we forget. Communists did that too throughout history. Okay? If you want to do some research, look up Vladimir Lenin, The National Question. Okay? The National Question is a writing by Lenin, obviously, a communist writing, which essentially discusses all of the different traditions and ethnic groups within mixed societies like the West and America, so on, and to use traditional communities as representatives of the proletariat. So they would put in communists that were pastors and priests to try and get the average people on the street who were not revolutionaries yet, who were still in the tradition of believing in God, which is the right way. It would get them to follow a communist. So what is going on here? This is another replaying of Lenin's National Question. All right. That's how they agitate. They choose traditional groups and act like the system is harming the indigenous or the traditional, or just like the other day, I saw an Antifa video with a guy dressed as a priest saying, God will punish you to ICE. Because we know that doesn't make sense. But somebody who is a Catholic immigrant that doesn't speak that much English and doesn't know a lot about it, they will look at that guy and think he's a priest and think that ICE is attacking a priest. Okay? The National Question. It's a communist method for agitating and dividing communities, turning communities against each other by saying that the system is oppressing the traditional working class people, okay? Because we know most working class people are traditional. It's not common, I guess, it's not common that large amounts of working class people have ever rejected religion, okay? The backbone of the working class is the Lord, all right? We may look at it some other way in our day-to-day meanderings, but in reality, working class people are the most steadfastly religious people traditionally in history in most cultures in the world. Something about getting rich and traveling and not having to care so much and worry about your family and stuff makes people drift away from the light of God fairly often. And that's why the Christians believe that it'll be hard for a rich man to get into heaven. They're a little bit confused on that, but anyway, because obviously a rich person can be good. A rich person can be religious. But what I'm saying is that most population-wise, numbers-wise, the most religious, the largest religious group are the working class people. The rich are not a largely religious group. That's just the demographics of it, okay? So, the national question, look it up, Vladimir Lenin, the national question posits that within each society, there are minorities, indigenous people, these different groups that have different pains, different socioeconomic problems, and they can leverage those for the socialist communist movement. This is no different with the National Socialists than it is from the International Socialists, okay? Lenin may have been the International Socialist that put pen to paper on this concept, but it's the same concept that was used by Hitler. He was saying that the government, the Weimar Republic, had become so cosmopolitan that they didn't respect the average working class people who still, still believe in God and yada, 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 and they're going with the evil Jew. Yeah, okay, this playbook has been used before and people need to recognize it, all right? Nick Fuentes is not waking up. He's not doing anything good whatsoever. He's using basically National Bolshevik tactics, a combination of communist and Hitlerian weirdness, okay? That's what's going on here. He's using National Bolshevik tactics, and these people are simply falling for it, and it's a shame. It's really a shame. Nobody Jewish should be acting like that guy is waking up or saying anything smart, or maybe he could be redeemed. No, he's evil. He is Amalek, and that is it. He cannot be redeemed. Spit on his name. Spit on the name of Jackson Hinkle, all of these people as well, all right? So that's pretty much all I have to say about that. So good night, folks.
Are you ready to fight for this? Are you ready to die on this hill? Are you ready to manifest the Lord's will? Are you ready to see this through? Do you really know what you have to do? Are you fighting for the cause or just for you? The race is not for the swift, but for who can endure. it. You must prepare for the shit. These disease, we must cure it. Prepare what needs to be fixed and clean the house. We must be strong of body and mind. We must strengthen our souls with the peace that we find among the company of warriors. We can't let the walls down. Are you ready to fight for this? Are you ready to die on this hill? Are you ready to manifest the Lord's will? Are you ready to see this through? Do you really know what you have to do? Are you fighting for the cause or just for you? The fool says in his heart that there is no God above. So don't be a fool, and I say this in love. Don't bow down to any golden calf, just stand up for the Lord. If you got pride in your people, then remember our traditions. Protect your family and stock up on ammunition. Say your prayers in the morning, noon, and night, and prepare for war. Are you ready to fight for this? Are you ready to die on this hill? Are you ready to manifest the Lord?